Welcome to the History Makers, the show that brings you the top, the legends, the biggest acts, the musicians, theater stars, aspirants, anybody who has made history in this world and in Africa. And today, I'm with a great man, the man who brought you folk, urban music, something new, something fresh. The man who was the Radiohead and the man who gave you the biggest conversation in the Kenyan airwaves and TV as well. He's none other than the ladies' man, DIDGE.
Yes, sir.
Welcome, bro.
Shukran, sana. What an intro. Shukran, sana. I appreciate it, man.
DIDGE.
I've always been a fan of the show. I told you.
Yes.
My dad is a fan of the show.
Yeah.
To a point where he literally on the socials,
yes.
and as a mute akija nitafute.
Akwambie.
And he'll be
your friend is
on. Your friend is on today. Leonie nameless. Leonie. So it's exciting to be here. Yeah,
nice. It's a long time, bro. Since our days with Mashauto.
Yes, and we've been discussing coming here for a minute. Yes, it's been a while. Hey, it's been a minute. Tumejuana for a long time. Yeah. When the industry, I'm sorry to say, I think we're heading there again. Yeah.
I think we lost it somewhere.
Yeah, there's a texture that it had.
Yes,
really good. Yeah.
When people were together, united, and they were approaching music in a unified form, and there were many record labels who were actually out competing with each other.
Exactly.
But now...
And I remember you saying the unity between artists. One show we did in Eldoret, it was me, Necessary Noise, Do Vultures.
Yes.
Then you have, I think Red Sun was there.
Yes.
I mean, we were all backstage and we were just talking. You know, it's like, hey, you guys are really for Ogopa DJs as well.
Ogopa is there, Caliph was there. Yeah.
Oh, great days. Yeah.
But it's been long coming. How have you been? Long time off radio?
Yeah, the hiatus is important when you've grown in the industry.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was explaining to, a younger set of artists. Yeah. They were asking, when a producer says something like, you don't know who this is?
Yes.
Now they'll see why you introduce Evo. Yeah. Just explain to them, oh, this is so and so. So I was explaining to them, my journey from music came straight from high school.
Yeah.
Straight from high school, I started pitching demos to record labels. And I got signed. So you're in the spotlight from the time utoke shule. So I've never really, I've been in the industry for so long, and taking a break from it, I needed something else. So that, hence the hiatus, kutulia tu kwanza. Yeah.
I remember the first time you came into music industry, it was through Shiro Githunguri, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yes, it
is. Then you hooked up with our brother, Ted Josiah.
Yes, sir.
Wododongo.
Yes. I'm the only one who calls him that. You said in the show you're the only one who calls him that.
Yes.
Edmond
Odongo.
Odongo Josiah.
That's his real name.
That's the OG. That's my mentor right there. Yeah.
So how did you hook up with Ted? I think many artists there don't know how the relationship when Ted had you, Waire, Necessary Noise, Bamzi was still there. Just off Gidi Gidi Maji Maji, off Kalamashakan, off Nikki.
I think there's a huge gap between the time I was pitching for demos and before I met Ted.
Yeah.
Because Ted was a big ticket back then. It was a big deal. So before you meet Ted, you have to have done your due diligence in the industry, so to speak. You can't take to him weird demos. Yeah. It's been known for him to throw out a demo or not see anyone for weeks. So we knew that we had to come correct. One of the producers, we went for a talent search show at the Carnival. And I remember Ted was in the panel. I was so nervous. I didn't audition. And from then on, I said, wewe, utaniona siku moja. Then I met with a guy called DIDGE, who at the time we were playing basketball together at the Laser Hill. They poached me. I was very good in basketball. So they poached me as a point guard and a fast forward to play for their school. And we just found this love with music. And he said, hey, I know a couple of people. And there's this lady I was introduced to by another classmate. Could we go see her? So we said we need a demo. And the first thing we did is we went to see Musioka, because Musioka at the time was hip hop.
Yeah,
There was a studio in Kenya Cinema. I forget. I think Edudji and Ikumbuka, in a Big Mike.
Yeah, Edudji. Was it Edudji to EWD?
I think it was Edudji and Big Mike, Nanoma.
Yeah.
All those guys were in that studio.
Yeah.
So we knew where to get Musioka. But once we got contacts from Musioka, we had to call him because, you know, back in the day, cell phone. So, akasema kujeni Sili, in a 1-bedroom studio in his mother's house. And we created a demo. And from there, now it's to take that to Shiro. Shiro heard the song and was like, this is, because the demo was amazing. Musioka, I don't know how he sampled it. He was chopping, I think it was an old song by Roberta Flack, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, he picked Roberta Flack's
or something, and he sampled it, he chopped it. And we didn't have a singer, because Dahad couldn't be able to sing at the time, so akaniambia, hey.
That time you were rapping, yes.
That time I'm rapping.
Yeah, you're a rap star.
I'm spitting bars, you know. The consequence, me trying to take the microphone back, I'm like, oh, hey, Brooklyn, stand up. So, Musioka is like, okay, this is good, but now we need a chorus. So it's like, do you have any concepts for a chorus or any singer that you can call? At the time, you can't afford a singer, you know? So you're like, hey. So what we call it? I was like, hey, can I sing? He was like, yeah, sure, if you can sing, do it. Just like that. She's mine to bang, boom, 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 she's mine to be. Then I put harmonies, we layered it. The first time you just hear on a record and layered with harmonies. And I thought to myself, Father in heaven, this is what I want to do forever.
So you are dumping now
vocals. Once we recorded,
we
didn't even. I think we took it straight to Shiro's place because Die Hard knew where she stayed. We went to, I think it was at the time it was State House Road. We took it to her and she played it. I think it was like 6:30 in the evening, straight from Isili
to her house,
to State House.
Yeah.
Now, kutembea Kalesa.
Hakuna fare.
Where we paid our dues. You're dusty, but you're like, this has to reach Shiro. Shiro Gidunguri heard it and she was like, I really like what you guys have done, and I think this is what we're gonna pitch to Ted. That was now another battle because now there was a guy called Robert Kasika at the end of that street. He worked in a church cathedral. He was also a producer. So we're like, we'll start working with you before we meet the great Ted. So we did some demos with him as well, and we did a couple of songs, and I don't know, we were waiting for Ted's phone call. So Shiro, knowing each other, I think that they grew up together. Finally, Shiro called and was like, we have a meeting with Ted on Monday. You have to come through. KBS back in the day. And it was a great experience to meet Ted. It was just, he was arrogant like you wouldn't believe. But you see, I came to know Ted. In hindsight, he wasn't arrogant. It's Ted. He's just, he has that demeanor. It's just him. There's a stoic look that he has. And he was like, yeah, I've had the demo. I think I like what I hear. But I'm going to listen to it with Waire, who told me about you. We had gone backstage to perform at the barn with DJ Adrian and the late... not Big Ted. What's the other guy? He passed on. Big Kev. I'm so sorry. God bless the dead. We went to a rap battle. That's where I met Giuliani. I met Rohenia, who now is the rapper / radio host. Took up on a Abbas, Blaze, and we're in a cycle.
And of course, Bamboo.
Oof. Who is I revere Bamboo. So I rap. Wire is there. Wire went and told Ted, there's this kid. And then Shiro comes with the demo. That's where I was landing. And then says, hey, I was told about you. So I've heard the demo. Now let me hear it with Wire, and then I'll give you Dr. Pati report. Case closed. We scheduled another date, and then we went there. Akasikia demo, akasema, I like your rapping. Do you have a passport? I don't have a passport. I've never left the country. I can be heavy on the twang and the wang. So there's nothing we can do with that right now because it's too heavy. But we can. I want the singer. I want the guy who sang She's Mine to Be. I want the guy who did She's Mine to Be. Who is that? I hope I've not disappointed anyone, but that's the guy I want. I was like, that's me. He was like, you're lying. I'm like, why? Nadanganya. So I ingia kwa booth. I did it. So I went into the booth, first time Blue Zebra. Went into the booth, I did, she's mine to be. Heard this meaning, but Kikwaya, Kipathfinder. He liked it, he said, oh wow, there's something there and I want to work with that version of you. From there, that's me. That's the history.
So that's how you developed that urban.
No, the urban soul side,
Yes.
or that kind of modern soul that we were trying to introduce at the time.
Close to neo soul,
Close to
D'Angelo, like
was just me loving D'Angelo music, Soul Child,
Yes.
Erykah Badu, Common, Mos Def. That side of hip hop where people are very conscious and it's about substance more than it is about hype and mimicking and gaming. So I wanted to be like a conscious rapper. Someone who speaks sense, more MC than rapper.
Yes.
Unajua rapper tunimtoa anashikanisha maneno kiti, risiti, and napenda anyway, but for MCing it's about speaking about the times. So MAU Double, exactly.
Yes.
So MAU Double, I was a fan.
Yeah.
Actually, I went to Dandora. I stayed there for like 2 weeks. Yeah, with a buddy.
Uko fulani da mama.
Yani uko ilikuwa, it's like
a musical maker.
Yes, it's like going to New York. It's like going to the dungeons of Brooklyn. It's like going to Staten Island and sitting with the Wu-Tang Clan. You're like, this is Mau Mau. Johnny once, this is a true story. Johnny sat with me in studio and said, hey, jama, unaroga ni kama umeland juzi. In my mind, that's a big compliment because I'm like, at least umesikia.
Yeah, because Johnny.
And these are my dreams.
Johnny Vigeti
to tell you that,
the Vigeti spits bars.
Bamboo,
bars.
Abbas, and Big
Vigeti.
Mike of Nanoma heard me rap. I was put in the first album, K-South. I was called Samawati to go do a feature.
Yeah.
I have never been happier than that in my life. And if we're going to talk about that, I'll tell you the moments in my life where I felt pure joy. Being in studio with people I adore. Uko na Captain, uko na Masimaira.
Yeah.
Uko na, who's the guy? I forget his name. He also used to rap as well. But in Doluo. I forget his name.
Poxy Pressure.
Poxy. I have stories about Poxy you wouldn't even believe. But yeah, so that's how I got into the game, and yeah, that's my introduction into the demo, into TED, into a record deal.
So how did you link that to when you went for Project Fame? Because remember, immediately after that, you went for Project Fame in South Africa. There were only you from East African Cars, and then there was a Zimbabwean guy there.
It was actually
a Nigerian guy, and the rest were South Africans.
A Zimbabwean lady.
Yes. That's 2004.
Yes, and Dari from Nigeria, who ended up becoming a very close friend of mine. But before that, there was Kitangoma, which was the first single signed by Coca-Cola.
Yes.
So once we did the demo, once they heard the demo, they were like, we need a single now for you.
Yes.
So we did She's Mine to Be, featuring Wiry.
Yes.
The demo,
with
my singing from the demo.
Yeah.
That was released as a single. I remember Modoni played it, Jimmy Gato at the time was on radio, played it. And then Ted was like, you need to do now your own solo. What would you like to do? I told him I'm doing neo soul. This is what I want to do. And he was like, are you sure? You choose one and that's it.
Yes.
Nikamwambia till waniache. I'll do it. Akaniambia, you won't be too popular. You won't be out there. Nikamwambia, don't care. There's something about this music that I'm drawn to and I'd really like to do it. So Akaniambia, okay, cool. I like your conviction, so choose a song. So I didn't actually choose a song. He told me, I'll come up with something, ndakuita kuja record. Just be ready to write, and nikamwambia, okay. Loose Monday again. Ted is a Monday person. Ironically, later in the years, he's not a Monday person. But that Monday he called me. I entered the studio and said, I'm like, yo, what am I listening to? I write the song within half an hour, I think. I work Kitangoma. Let's keep it simple. Because I was writing it like I'm rapping. Yeah. But I'm singing it. So it was easier for me to transition like that. Because I could write really quickly. And phrasing, later in writing music, the way you write a song and singing is not the same as the way you write a rhyme or rap. So I converted that and I was rap singing. Yeah. So what Drake is doing, well, the great, but the same style. And it worked. That was the first single. Then Coca-Cola Real campaign, Ted, we were doing ads at the time. Akaniambia kukuwekea mboga kwa kwa mfuko, you'll be doing ads. So I was very good with voices. He heard it. He told me, ingia kwa booth. So, hey, kubali, kukunywa, salamia. You know, you do all those ads and those
Yes.
voices.
Yeah.
And you get a check, you
Yeah.
know. It was an LPO and then whatever the process, and then
yeah.
you get some money.
You get some money out of it.
But by that time, Coca-Cola was looking for something. And I remember one of the ad agency execs came over, akachezeo. Jimmy was also played for Kitangoma.
Yes,
I've never heard anything like this.
It was a hit.
In my mind, I'm thinking, we, mi natatu nyimbo kwa radio, niende niambie watu.
Umtaani.
Ngoroi, do you mean to Arambe Buru? Say to Behama Mashambani. I just want people in the hood to know I have a song on radio. And from there, I got the deal. They said we like this style of music, and we were thinking it's so progressive, it's urban, it's what we're looking for. Got my first check, a huge check.
Wow.
I also shot the video. Wanuri Kahiu, the famous director, she's the one who shot Kitangoma.
Yes. Wanuri is the one who shot, eh?
Yeah, shot Kitangoma, and we had such good chemistry. And she taught me a lot about, you know, shooting, about
production.
Yeah, about setting up cameras, etc. From there, it was now, what do we do next? And we were watching television, and he said, the chemistry you have na Mongolo kwa studio, because I met Mongolo for the first time.
How did you meet Mongolo?
Mongolo, alikam kwa studio, nikasema, this is a weird looking brother. Because he's cheeky.
Yes,
he reminds me of,
cheeky.
anakumbusha backbencher.
Yes.
So Ted akasema, nikaeka hii kwa TV, this can be really magical. Because what we were watching at the time on telly, in terms of any show that was, you know, advertising or talking about the youth and their issues, it was dry. So Ted was like, I want you guys, you will be the urban guy, babi, na yeye utakuwa msee wa mtaani. And that's how we started VP. So we shot a demo with a very small camera. I think it was from Ted's dad. Tiny camera, easy ma camcorder. We did the demo with the fluorescent light. We bought it from Uchumi. Plugged it in with a long cable. We adjusted it at Dakar. So Nani ameshikilia light. There was one of the guys, our crew, ameshikilia light. So we're like, okay, how does this light look? So you're shining, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
We're excited. We're like, this is the first demo. Brought it to Standard Media Group at the time.
Fernandez.
Ian Fernandez.
Yeah.
He looked at it. He said, wow, if I leave this show, I'm going to regret it. So we got our first opportunity. And Ndete, was it Ndete?
Mike
Ndete. Mike akatutetea akasema, enyewe, you have something here. So that's how we started the VP show, and yeah.
So after that is when you went into radio. That time you produced.
Now after the VP show, I was doing interviews with musicians.
Yes.
You asked about Project Fame.
Yes.
Project Fame came to Kenya.
Yeah.
And we had to go cover Project Fame. Because he got the Norfolk, and guys are lining up. We're like, hey, excuse me, kuna content Norfolk. Kimbia. So we're doing interviews, we're asking people, hey, how does it feel? Hey, as we're doing our show, turudi kwa studio. So Ted calls me, he's like, he just bought me a new phone. I was so excited. Ericsson Kablu. You know, I don't know if you remember it.
Yes.
So it's like, do you think you can sign to sing just to get into the finals and whatnot, so that we get footage from? Because they said you can't, they own the footage. Endemol owns the footage. So akasema, ingia ndani, just give us a report from, so you can sing, ingia ufa. That's our brother.
Then you entered the competition.
I entered as a joke.
Yes.
Nikasign jina yangu, I think I was number 3,000 and something.
Yeah.
Then I was called. I sang Music Soul Child. Love, there's so many things. Jamaa akasema, okay. So I'm waiting for the interview to end, because I was speaking to one of the judges. Then they said, you have to wait. We call in the final contestants. So number 3,000 and whatever I had on my nini was called. I'm like, they made it for the finals. I'm like, hey, so
it's great.
Mongolo, si mtaningoja ama mtaenda? So si tunaenda. Whatever, I went through. Sang, and a few weeks later they call. Project Fame from South Africa called and says, hey, you've been chosen as one of the final contestants from Kenya to come and sing.
Kaz was also competing at that time.
I think so, but at the time we didn't, you see, but I think in the final stages, I could see, because I could see her. Hey, Kaz had this thing where she could wear like a thong on stage. And so I knew who she was.
Yes.
And I'm like, yo, you're here. So I don't know for that she was chosen, and this is the two of us. Yeah, I said, and you guys, from talking, we can sense you have chemistry, because now you have to give your, hey, my name is Max, I'm from Kenya, I'm from blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
They said they loved the chemistry. And from there, chosen straight Mbaka, South Africa.
How was it in that house? You
Clean
when
3 months.
clean 3 months. It was crazy.
It was crazy because it's unnatural.
Yeah.
Me being someone who's used to the outside, a country boy, I'd say, it was super unnatural. I think I gained a lot of weight, nakukula. But also singing, I learned a lot, you know, from the teachers that were there,
yeah.
how now to phrase music, how to write a song, you know, how your phrasing needs to change, how your wording needs to change, how your presentation, your showmanship needs to be. And it was interesting. And then I made a good friend, Dare, in the house, and the Tanzanian. And from there, I think Kaz na mimi, we just had a chemistry from, that's where our friendship picked up.
But
And,
remember when you're being voted out, people were against cars in Kenya. Like,
yeah, but
hell.
unajua, once again,
Yeah.
for clarity's sake,
Yeah.
Kaz wasn't voting me out because she hates me. Kaz was voting me out, if I remember correctly, nilikuwa nimeanza kuchoka, I missed home. When we met, once the whole show was done, when we met, she cried. She cried. I remember we were hugging each other outside the Air Center. There was a club where we used to go perform, you know, as independent musicians. And then Masimari used to host it. Yeah, Center 6th floor, we used to perform. And I remember meeting her, and she just broke down, and she said, you know I wouldn't do that to you. And from there, nikamwambia usitaongea hiyo story tena, ngoja uone.
How did you come now to do your first album with Ted Josiah? And how did you create Saa Zingine?
Saa Zingine, as a song, as a concept, it's partly Mongolo, who gave me a story about, you know, an ex-girlfriend who did something. And when I was advising him on what to do, I don't know why, I'm an empath. So mupenda kuambia story, mawoye, nambia niambie, I'll advise you, my brother. So ananiambia story yake na so nikamwambia sikiza, saa zingine mademu wanga, saa zingine, before I know it, it's because you're giving him points.
Yes, saa zingine,
but
saa
in my
zingine.
mind, I'm thinking, wow, this could be a great song. And then at the time, I was also in a beautiful relationship, and I just decided to use my feelings from the relationship and that advice that I was giving a friend.
Mongolo, yeah.
Yeah, and the song came to be. And once Ted heard the song, he knew this is now the lead for the album. But the album took 5 years.
That's what I wanted to come to.
5 years.
That album was...
Charles.
Incubation for that album was the longest.
But you know what? In hindsight,
Yeah.
I thank God and I thank Ted and I thank the stars, the universe, because ingetoka mapema kuliko hiyo, probably it wouldn't be as good. Because at the time you see you're in a rush to, hey, I'm still singing, I'm still doing this. You're not thinking about the music, you're not thinking about immersing yourself in the music. And Ted, one of the things I like about him as a producer is you immerse yourself in the craft. Nilinunuliwa makamusi, nikaambiwa tunaingia Mombasa for 3 months. We had a project with another gentleman from a Scandinavian country. So he wanted to be at the coast while recording his music. Some Nordic music. Very weird, but... So he said, while we're down there, learn the culture. Be of the culture. Usidharau Kiswahili. Usiende kuandikia watu hapa upuzi. So we went down to the coast, and the 5 years, just to summarize it, was me learning. It was a good lesson, because now you learn Afro music.
Yeah.
You learn international Nordic music. You learn about different styles of music. And you learn the patience of even the owner. So, reduce the need for fame and more about the need for quality and the craft.
And the craft.
That's very well said.
Yeah.
The need for giving your very best.
Yeah.
So once we got the Danish embassy involved, because Ted was like, I have to produce this album. I've been promising this young man for 5 years. I was offered radio initially between that 5 years. Ted akaniambia, do not. Even your career zoisha. The popular saying, radio killed the singer. So I was like, please don't take it. Just trust me.
Radio killed the
singer. So I was like, please don't take it.
Yeah.
I appreciate the fact that I took time to create Vintage Swahili. Bruno Silali is another person I really want to give a shout out to. He's passed.
Man.
The late Bruno.
The late, yeah.
Yeah. Bruno and I sat in studio, I think that's 2005, going into 6. by the time 207 is coming around, the album is just about to come out.
Yeah.
Oh, it was a very exciting time. Ogopa DJs had sold 60 copies on a Saturday. We sold, what, 1,000 in a weekend?
Yes, you sold 1,000.
Vintage Swahili came out and it was, and we were so happy. And Norijo Kutandika Ogopa is a big deal.
It's a big deal.
You realize who Ogopa anyway.
Ogopa had, Lucas had an array of stars.
Yeah.
And he aligned, and the bass line. You know,
and I
Ogopa's
think
bass line was everything.
It was a mixtape.
Yes.
Ogopa 2.
Ogopa 2, they had Ogopa 1, then Ogopa 2.
Yeah. So that's a huge album. And for it to be a Dunda type of album.
Yeah.
For my album to do those numbers, we were so happy.
Why did you give it the title Swahili Vintage?
Vintage Swahili is just the idea of Kiswahili si ya kawaida.
Yeah.
There's a song.
Do you think if you had sung in English, you would have garnered more numbers in Africa?
Meaning by, Stop. Yes, I would. But the problem is, Ted is such an Afrocentric, Pan-African type of guy.
That's why he has joka joke.
Yes.
He's an African
And he's like,
leader.
yo, yes, kizungu na jo unaandika. Kwanza haraka sana.
Yeah.
All the songs in the album that are in English, the first ones, Johari La Zanzibar, DIDGE, Sinking As I Fall, all those songs, I wrote them very quickly. Kasema, umeshajifurahisha. Now we're going into Mapenzi Taratibu, the hardest vocals. What? So it's like, these are the songs you're going with. Vintage Swahili was not Kiswahili umezoea. Si Kiswahili tu ya ni aje? No, it's more upeo wa furaha. That's why I learned that that's ecstasy.
Then how did you get into radio at that time now?
So, obviously, as every relationship, it gets to its peak.
Yeah.
And we fell apart with Ted. He was evolving as a man. The studio was coming to a close. We had so much trouble in terms of just normal studio business. And I was like, I need something. I need to do something. So
he was also undergoing his challenges, remember?
Challenges in life. And by the way, in hindsight, usiwahi pigia mtu kelele, because once you get to someone's shoes,
you realize the challenges
this man was doing so much for
challenges,
me. Yeah. So at the time he was going through some troubles, that's personal. And I told him, I can't do this anymore. I want to sell the album. I want to tour. I want to go to the Jazz Cafe. I want to do all these big things. I want to go tour Africa. I can't even. It's possible, but DIDGE, at this point, look at the studio. We can't even pay rent. We can't even do etc. etc. At the time, he was really going through his challenges. So, nikamwambia we, you're not serious with me. As again, I'm a young man.
Yeah,
emotional intelligence.
Zero.
Iko deficit. So, no, utaki. Katupa mikono. I left. I left. I told him, now let me go find something to do. And I knew that the next easy transition either would be acting, because Wanori had called me for a few scripts and I was in a couple of movies, and I thought, let me do acting. Where? Please respect our actors.
Yeah?
Yeah. What's acting? Ile theater. Disrespect theater. Stage is different.
Yeah.
Because stage, you can even blunder. No, acting is a different beast. So acting didn't work out, but again, I met another queen who was at the studio all the time, Sheila Monyiga, who called me for another radio ad. And she said, "Did you come to a certain radio ad? It doesn't pay a lot, but at least it's some money to keep you, moving." Oh, thank you so much. And I was looking for a place to live. Say, umerudi? Kwa mama na baba. Ngoroi. The land of beasts.
Yes.
So tumerudi. Did the radio ad. I don't know who heard it. And at the time, Sheila was holding as PC for Easy FM. And she was like, would you like to take a slot on radio? And Talia was there. Talia kanitetea pia akasema, patia hiyo DIDGE. He'll do it. And that's how I got into radio. I was given a slot. I was to mirror Talia for a few weeks, and then I was given the night slot. So I was given between 8 and 10. Yeah. and I did a good job.
Yeah, you
apparently.
did a good job.
And at the time, I was getting a nice check that I thought was a nice check until
Until
until I saw another check. I'm like, this is.
what the hell is
Then
this?
my life began. Ooh wee! Ah yeah. Sakudanganya.
What happened?
I became what you call, again, young man straight from high school. You know, you've been thrust
The
into
progression.
fame. The progression is
Yeah.
amazing, and now you're in this radio station that's giving you, wow. Man, I love that station. Till today, that's one of my highest accomplishments or achievements.
You did very well on radio.
And I knew my audience. I knew my wanja.
Yeah.
I knew exactly
The
what she
women
wanted.
really wanted to hear you on
Yeah.
radio. That's
Because
what I'm saying, you're ladies'
I
man.
knew. Hata sasa naweza kumbuka link ile kilikuwa Easy FM, number one station blues and R&B. I'm here to take you all the way to 9 o'clock. Baby, najua umechoka, but I got you. Coming right now is Westlife. You raised me up, my dear. I'm like, this is. So every night I knew exactly what my wanja wanted to hear, and I'd understood my market. But I also was doing things that were extra, that made the employer very excited. Like I could use my salary to give guys credit. I'd be like, call me up if you're pay to credit. And then I started the lunch thing, where I could buy a fan lunch. And then I started buying couples lunch. You know, it's your birthday, go take out so-and-so. Mazeni birthday dem yangu. So I'm like, don't worry about it. The DI got you. Boom. So radio was doing really well. Then, obviously, a young man enjoying life in Nairobi. Yeah.
You are big life.
Yes.
Big life.
Cars.
And of course, relationships.
Cars. Nah, I was never out there in the streets like that. To be very honest with you, I was more of a. I like relationships. I like feminine energy, but I was never a golfer. Nah. Nope. But I understood what females wanted through the music and also through radio.
Okay.
So enjoying life, mansions, apartments in Kilimani, you know, the cliche, classic Kenyan, you get some new money, and that's how you want to live. You know, you're not thinking about 5
So
years.
you moved out from Ngoroi?
Rakasana. It didn't even take me 2 minutes at Rakasana. Went to Parklands. I was in High Ridge for a while. Then I went to Langata. Stayed there for a long while. And then, and then I went to Ngong, to the mountain, to a huge mansion.
That's when you go to your... How did you meet your wife and how did you get hitched, finally?
I mean, I've always known her.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my childhood sweetheart. I mean, I've known her. Nika ni mtu nimeona na najua. Yeah, so 2011, after we'd lost our son in 2009, 10.
Well, like, that was the saddest thing in your life.
That's where now I started crashing because I was drinking a lot.
Yeah.
I was just in the world. I was accumulating different personalities, different energies. Watu tu wako na mimi. I had no boundaries. You know, you're doing things on a whim. You're buying things that you don't need. I remember spending 50,000 on one afternoon for nothing. Nikikumbuka ni sijui ni carpet nimenunua, sijui ndio na offer. You're buying friendships and you don't even know.
Yes.
You're not actually, they're acquaintances, ni watu unajua. But you're buying friendships. So I didn't know in therapy, that's why I came to learn that kumbe nilikuwa, that buying kila saa, DI is in a dominant position, I'm the one who's always paying, people are resenting me. Because unaonekana tu na pesa. A friend of mine told me, whenever you call, mi na just bebangi kitu. I'll eat, I know where to sleep, you have a house, blah, blah, blah. So, one time, karibu nipasuke. Kakitu imeanza kuisha. I'm pinching pennies and I'm like, kwani hamna pesa nyinyi hamtaki kuchanga? And they're like, hey, dude, you called us. Then I started realizing, spiraling down. And I was trying to heal from the loss of my son in different ways. And I'm not crutching with that. That's where now you become useless. Or wendi kazini. You're missing places instead of therapy or instead of talking to someone. You're just doing things randomly. You're trying to self-soothe and heal yourself. And from there, my wife told me, at the time, my girlfriend, she was like, you need to slow down 10,000 times. First of all, tunahama kutoka hapo penye tuko. Langata is not good for you. Yeah. Second of all, we're going somewhere where it's meaty. We're going like almost back home. So that's went and gone. But before that, I made a commitment. I couldn't stay. I'm not the type of person to stay out of a relationship. So in Colombia, let's get married. So 2011 on my birthday, we got married.
So when is it when you lost your job when this thing, or what activated this?
You see, it's a sequence of events.
Yeah.
Yeah. you lose your son,
then
you start acting up, then the job, and I wouldn't say it's losing the job, the contract was terminated because there was advertising disruption. They couldn't pay for the night show, and the amounts they were paying me, including the incentive, was way too much. So they're like, sasa huyu unamlipa, and I think hata you contribute to kujikazi ufanye nini. But you're grieving, and you're not telling them that, hey, you're grieving.
You didn't tell them actually you've lost a son.
Because I wanted to work. That's how I was deflecting. That's how I was taking care of you. Dive into work. But then you're pre-recording the show, you're doing nonsensical shows. I heard one show, surely, this is not a show. We always make fun of what wanapoteza akili. You think it's just something from a distance.
Yeah.
That bragging nonsense, it caught up with me. And I didn't know. I was acting out of, my normal habits. And that's when my best friend caught me. She's like, Wewe, we need somewhere where it's peaceful. We can start a family. We can just be together. And we figured this out. So we scaled down, sold the cars, moved out of the mansion. A 4-bedroom house for what? And we just lost it. Angalia, the kind of waste.
And you've lost your son?
Yeah, so I'm thinking, so we moved to a very nice, a nice crib. And from there, that's now where we began our life with my baby.
Oh man, that's tough.
Yeah.
That was really tough.
And now it's to get a job. Because there's bills to pay, and then firstborn checks in. Now, checks in, my eldest. She checks in, and I'm like, I'm the happiest man in the world. Now I'm working odd jobs. I'm taking any contracts that I can get. At the time, I was an entrepreneur. I was a brand strategist into market strategy.
With your own company?
My own company.
Yes.
Logo, check. Remember, this is a young man still who hasn't been tested in his resilience.
You've
I think my
not
first
been tested, because you're from school, you've just moved.
School, and then money. Just into
throughout.
fame and money. And then on top of that, now you're handling your own money. Clients. You don't know about billing, invoicing. You want to eat I'm like, how do we sustain the business? So on and off. So you're not yourself. Now I'm in studio. I'm drinking more than I'm recording. I'm recording for fun. I'm releasing songs like at the time I was releasing Kipusa with Kolo. That was a tough time. And then Staki Mwingine. That's where I was grounding, because my wife was like, "Unatoa nyimbo nini? This is not you." And then from there, you get addicted to that, chasing the perfect song. Because you're looking for another distraction, to go to studio, to go to places where you can have your tribe, where you can self-soothe, you can and disappear. Yeah, and that was tough. It was actually very challenging. Those 5 years between my 30 and 35, that was incredibly. And that's the first time that I experienced a separation in a marriage. 2015, 16.
So how did you come to that conclusion that this thing, I love you as my better half, but let's go separate ways. I move back to Ngoroi. Let's get back to the farm. Let me re-energize myself, refill my life, and come out of all this deep hole.
If you're the type of person who says you love your children, or you love your person, your partner, your wife, whatever, that love has to go beyond, the sweet things that you're saying as a boy. Now love constitutes is how we taking care of this babies, how are they seeing you this way? Coming home every day late from studio, coming intoxicated, like you're just showing a different side of you. And ananiambia mimi najua si kitu unatuonesha sasa. I know what you're going through, but you need to fix it. And I was like, I needed to take a break from that whole aspect of marriage or whatever to heal. I call it quits or whatever. I was like, please, let's just give each other time. It started with 2 weeks, went to 3 months, and 6 months. And then finally I decided I'm accountable for the mistakes that I've created in this situation. So please go back home. And now you're talking to OGs wanakuambia kijana, love is not that easy.
That's when you realize ile kitu naimbaga kwa
hiyo sio love ile unafikiria. Anasema love ni ile unataka kutoa nywele lakini unarudi nyumbani na nyama. Love is you understanding that this is your person. Love is understanding that atakuudhi, but you still in the morning ask her, excuse me, kuna kitu unahitaji. That's the mundane, the boring, which again, I relate to success as well. Those things that people think it's exciting to be successful. People think that when you're successful, it's fast cars.
Yeah.
That's programming.
Yeah.
Success is boring.
It's very boring.
It's
by the way.
absolutely boring. And in fact, my partner will tell you, aliniambia, wewe, pole pole, every day. It's boring, but just chip away. Trust me, you'll thank yourself. So we're back together. My son comes into the world, and I'm back in studio. I'm back on radio, Homeboys Radio, 103.5. Niko na Jemo yule msee miskatiwa.
Yes, I remember.
DJ Demakufu, from nothing to something.
Yes.
So we're having fun. DIDGE, the urban elder. I've learned a lot from life. And
Now you are grown.
now I'm grown. Now
Yeah,
I'm
now you are
seasoned.
grown. You are.
Absolutely
You understand.
seasoned. Yeah. And I'm looking at shout out to DJ John, by the way. He brought us together.
John Rabbi is a good man.
Yes. So we sit with John, and I tell John, hey, I need to get back to radio. And he tells, I have a concept. If you accept, I think you'd be perfect for it. I was like, whatever it is, as long as it keeps me busy and it can feed my family, I'm in. Boom. And the show becomes another success. You know, Jemo and I had incredible chemistry. Ubaya sasa hiyo show again.
It was called Mtani.
Mtaani.
It was called Mtani.
Yes, originally with Miss Lily,
Yes.
myself and Jemo.
Yeah.
Then we Miss Lily left for other ventures, and we got Miss Katiwa through Chris Darling, by the way. And yeah. So shout out to the squad, but it got to a point where I'm thinking, I have 3 kids. I'm in a relationship. I can't be on radio talking about certain subjects.
Now the elder is coming out.
Exactly.
The elder in you is.
And I'm thinking to myself, every day ndakuwa nikidrive kazini, nikuje kuongea. And there's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
But I'm drawing from memory. I've never been a clubber. I've gone to clubs, yes.
Yes, but you're
I've never
not.
been at a single dating and doing all that. So I'm starting to feel very uncomfortable. And I'm trying to carve out like my voice in the group. Or I thought this was going to be about social political issues. We're going to talk about vijana mtaani ni nini wana. It ended up becoming something totally different. You know, it was like nightlife, single life. And I'm thinking to myself, I can't do this. And that started causing a friction because I'm the type of person, mindasema. It's the Capricorn in me, nikasema. And that was the beginning of the end for that show. So the pandemic hit, and that's where now.
Everything went south.
Everything now, the businesses, everything you're saving, it's so...
It went south.
No, uangalia zile vitu umesave. For 5 years, between 16 and 18.
Yeah.
In fact, 18 and 19, because 17 is when we started officially. All the way to 2020.
21. Was it 21 or 20?
2020. 21 is when we started having problems, you know, and I'm like, the recovery from there, unajichukia, self-loathing, self-hate. You're in a dark place. You're in another valley. You're like, again. Whenever you're going through your struggles, please, or your valley, I call it your valley. Psalms 23, walk through the valley of the shadow of death. Yes, people have misused the verse, but it says walk. It doesn't say run.
Yeah, just
it
walk
jump.
through.
It says just walk through.
Yes, yeah.
And since there's a shadow, you need light to reflect. So I was like, okay, now I'm starting to understand myself. And by the time I was coming to, I'm realizing I've affected this relationship, I've affected this relationship, I've affected this relationship. And now it's repair mode. Yeah, before you know it, so therapy, counselors, you know.
How long did you stay? How many did you stay with therapy? How long did you stay in therapy?
Rehabilitation, I didn't go, but I had a counselor who stayed with me.
At home, eh?
Yes.
Yeah.
Shout out to him, because if it wasn't for his mind and his patience especially, to see me through the worst of the worst, postponing him. You know, there's a certain self-entitlement which carry forward from days of zangoja. You know, and then part of the self-loathing is, you put pause on your purpose. You put pause on certain things that you're supposed to be taking seriously. You put pause on an actual business that was working, but you just got bored because one check didn't go through, another check didn't go. I'm shooting a show called Live Drive with DIDGE at the time. I've gained weight. Sasa hapo. Uzito. I was 124 kilos.
My goodness.
That's the highest I've ever been in my life. 124 kilos. Nalala nikiwa unajistua ile.
Unastuka, man.
We, kuangusha mzinga. That's nothing to me. That's light work. Moja na nusu, and I'm talking a liter. There were certain things I was doing that I was so out of character that my father was literally crying.
The OG. You know, I wanted to bring you the OG.
Analia mbele yangu, my son, where are you going?
But the man is a great father. You remember the way he took you all through the phases.
Yeah.
And in the farm, and actually brought you back to the...
Yes.
Shout out to that gentleman.
Shout out to
the OG,
Mr. Samuel Nyatome.
Nyatome. He's a good OG.
Lemayan. Okay.
Lemayan, a great man.
Umesikia? He'll be so happy.
You tell him here in this camera, Mr. Samuel Nyatome Lemayan, you are a great man. Keep watching History Makers. You are a great man.
He took me in, and my mother is in psychology. She's done some psychology. She's a counselor. And she was like, Max, you're acting out of character because you're living a certain loop in your life where things were good. And now you're realizing you've evolved and you're hating yourself because you didn't store anything, you didn't learn anything. You thought, you're putting things on hold. But yeah, I'll get to it. Oh, I'm talented, I'll get to it. Wait. Talent without effort.
Zero.
Oh.
Zero.
You can, now in your studio, half an hour I'm done with the song. That's not the point. The point is now, where's the song going? How are you marketing the song? All those things you're saying about, I was saying about into market strategy and the company, and I'm like, you should be applying that to you. Here. To yourself, to your brand.
Yes, yeah.
And dark times, but I couldn't complain. Where I got to God, scripture actually, and not religion. Where I got to God and I knelt down and one of my OG friends, the Mongol and Liambia, where you're being attacked spiritually. You're fighting principalities and you don't know. You're fighting the wrong thing. My mother said the same thing. My father indeed said the same thing. And I decided, you know what? My foundation was strong. I'm a church boy, grown as a Seventh-day Adventist. And I was a pathfinder. I had favor from God and I felt it. Now I feel like I'm of the world. I feel like I need to just cleanse. I need to detox emotionally and all these things. And I did it. I did it. It was hard. Day to day Kwanzaa, I'll tell you, anyone going through any type of depression, and I don't make fun of depression anymore, because when you actually think about what depression is, we don't have depression. So, pole, that valley, I started climbing out of it. And it feels amazing. It feels amazing. And now, going back to studio, thinking about the new album, thinking about this project that I was talking to you about. It's called Cradle Arts. So Cradle Arts is showing people, anyone who has a child. My firstborn came to me and asked me, Daddy, you used to sing. I'm like, used to? Hey, unajua mimi mbaya bado. So I'm like, nimesahau. Nikamwambia, I used to. I used to. Let me get back to studio.
Oh, then you went back to studio?
Yeah. I was like, for her, she was like, Daddy, I'll do good in my grades as long as you do good in music.
Oh my goodness, that's a challenge, man.
And I was like, for you?
Yeah.
So the music that's coming out now, it's lighter. I feel great. I feel like I'm back to a space.
So not that romantic which you are.
Not really.
Now
it's
it is grown music.
It's still there, but it's super grown.
Super grown.
It's understanding that, that nice side, it's cute, but it grows into something. Yeah. So when we landed with Cradle Arts, I really related to it because I was like, people assume that you can't lose your mind in this thing.
You easily lose your mind.
And by the way, do you know that most singers ukiangalia vizuri, if you're watching TV vizuri usiku, when you're just bored uangalia screen, kuna tuenda wazimu wako kwa screen. Now I do, they need therapy. They just don't know. Wait, there's some realities now. I'm talking thinking it's going to last forever. You
see, that's what
you don't know how hard this thing has hit some of the OGs that I've been with that I looked up to.
Yes.
And I've seen people go through hell.
People really suffer. The screen just lies to you that you are omnipresent, but it's a fad.
There's a thing I used to do where I go to different studios because I wanted to learn Nani Ametoka, who's the new producer. So I go to this new studio, introduce myself. They go on YouTube, they see, they're like, oh my God, this is the guy who's here. So when they're calling young artists, I try and explain to them, lakini hapana, unajua ilikuwa OG, that's back in the day. I'm like, back in the day, brother, 5 years you're not going to be anything. Nimesikia songs zako, you're going nowhere.
Yeah.
I know you're going to hate me for now, but
Yeah.
you will thank me because this, what you're doing here, this is a fashion. This is going.
Yeah, it's a fad.
Yeah,
It's
this is fading away. And if you can't sustain this machine that we keep giving called fame or whatever, if you now become subservient to it, you're not going to go far. So you can tell they cringe because they were thinking I would tell them, when in deadly. And I'm thinking, no, that's the lies that we're given. Wachia fans your biashara. Let
You
them
do-
tell you how brilliant you are.
Yeah.
But the people behind the scenes, I really feel for any young star, kina trio, kina nani. I feel for them, and I hope that they have people around them to tell them, hey,
to mentor them
yes,
and also to guide them properly into the strategy of
and
business,
to hold
of
their
music.
bag and to guide them and tell
Yeah.
them invest,
Yeah.
because it's no joke.
There's an incident which happened, which you realize this thing is gonna kill you, all of you guys. When you rolled with the car, all of you.
Yeah,
What happened?
that was an insane period. It was myself, Wiry, and Ted.
Yes.
Yeah. That was in town. That was scary. That was super scary. But that's the time that I can tell you, you know that God has you. I can't really tell you what happened in the car, and I can't tell you who decided to do
Who decided
that
to roll
nonsense,
the car?
but it wouldn't have happened. Let me just put it like that. But it did happen, and Charles tuachie Mungu hiyo.
You know when you
you see the watu, hiyo ni ya Mungu.
Hiyo ni ya Mungu,
Hiyo ni ya
my friend.
Mungu. Yeah.
But what is the biggest regret you have now?
Regrets? No. Absolutely not. Because
Zero.
I feel if I regret anything, I wouldn't be here sitting with Charles talking about,
And the plans we
great
have.
show, The History Maker, and still making history. But I was learning about making bad decisions and mistakes.
Yes.
Yeah. Most people are making poor decisions and they're making bad choices. But it's not necessarily a mistake.
So
Well,
any DIDGE fan out there, what do we expect from him?
Expect the most truthful record from myself. It's almost like the innocent, the non-innocent, the innocent DIDGE from Vintage Swahili, but now with all the guilt, at the altar of, hey, this is who I am. My favorite subject to sing about is love. I've never thought about anything else, and obviously social issues. But I've done a song with Teardrops. I've done a song with Giuliani about even Rabbit. But when it comes to love, consider this something to warn you about how you're going into it.
You speak very well and your vision is very clear to anyone, and of course the advice you've given people. But let me go back to Mr. Samuel there.
Okay.
Mr. Samuel is a good farmer.
Yes.
He's a great farmer.
And an elder in church.
And an elder in church.
Yes.
And shout out to Mr. Samuel Nyatome.
Yeah.
For
Mr. Lemay.
Yeah, for bringing up this gentleman when he was in the valley.
Yeah.
And now he's back in his feet.
My brothers as well. They
Yeah.
played a big role.
Yeah.
And it's good to have brothers who don't candy coat you.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you have brothers?
I do. Yeah.
When you have a brother who tells you, ni na hii,
Yeah.
the end.
Yeah.
Hizi zingine ni tantrum tu zako jueni star. Goodbye. Hey, you're like, okay. They leave you with something to ponder.
Wanasema hii utafanya.
Hii utafanya. And having people who I genuinely now consider friends.
Yeah.
I changed lines as well.
Yeah.
Just to say, to sieve out, huyu ni nani, huyu ni nani. Why are we friends?
Yeah.
Charles, do you know, I was looking at my phone, you have over 4,000 contacts.
And none can
How
come
am I not a
through.
billionaire? Like, this is weird.
Yeah, none can come through.
Yeah, and you start questioning and you start looking at, okay, who would come through for me? There was a thing trending a while back on YouTube where, like, call 5 people and ask them for 10,000, even 100,000.
Yes, none will come out.
I felt that. Saa hii na iko
None.
kuna mtu anapigia lakini story kwanza.
Atakwambia,
Lakini kuna totano hapo utachukua. I'm like, what?
So I think as we end, what would you advise anyone who wants to join music and anyone who wants to get married and anyone who wants to join radio?
Okay.
And when you come back to radio, what will you do differently?
Anyone who wants to join music, I'd say do it because you love music. And when I say love, I mean you appreciate what music is. music is a medium that enters anyone without their permission. You need to understand that this is a calling. This is a spiritual tool. You don't play with it. Number one, if you're in it to make money, that's okay as well. But anyone who really loves music for the sake of music, I would highly recommend that you take your time in whatever you're producing. If you want to get into marriage, I would say, for the young men especially,
yes.
Follow your God.
Yes.
Where's the camera? That Fuata Mungu. Get your purpose in check. Meaning, whatever God has blessed you in this earth that you're good at and is generating revenue, gaining you some resources, focus on that. Once you're stable, then now God will give you that person. Don't ever go choosing that. Yeah, honey, in love. Wewe. Utatutafuta.
Utatupata hapa.
Utakuja
Sisi
love.
ndio OG.
But for me, I love love, and I fell in love, and I want people to know that it's possible. But those are not the conditions as a young man you're supposed to be looking for a wife with. Yeah, lazima kuna. Oh geez, this is not even me. This is the seniors who are telling me.
Yes.
Yeah, so the urban elders just using this as a tafuta Mungu wako, know your scripture, be solid.
Yeah.
Then have your purpose, which is going to feed you. Have your own place where you have a key.
Yes, and
and then from there now, if you have to, keep chasing your purpose. Mpaka unajua imekoma. And then from there now say, who can help me with this vision? Who can help me with this purpose? Who can help me with this gift? As for radio, what am I to do different? And if I do get back, and what would I advise anyone? You have to be authentic.
You have to be yourself.
They did a study on waves in the human body, and they could tell what type of waves you emit and frequency. And they said the one that emits the most from the human body is authenticity. And I thought to myself, authenticity, kukuwa mreal, kukuwa wewe. Kama si wewe, ready to kusumbua. Because if you have to come in every day, today you're talking how today we are talking about, you're that type of a person, you're not going to enjoy it. But if you know you're going to have a conversation with the masses, you're going to engage them, you're going to challenge their minds, you're going to make them see things differently. Trust me, that's for you. It's your calling. Yeah. And it goes with my personality, juu niko na kamdomo kiniche. Lakini mimi ni wewe. Ni wewe Charles. Ni wewe. Ni Mungu ni wewe. Nimeshukuru. This was good.
So as we end, I think you will end it with Sazingine or one of your songs so that people can either just
What?
for.
You want me to sing Sazingine?
Oh man, that's your signature.
Oh man, niko na sitaki mwingine.
Utaki mwingine. Swahili, vintage Swahili, bro.
Sitaki mwingine. Okay, saa zingine maneno unitoka bila mpango. Saa zingine ulimi hauoni ukweli wa moyo. Saa zingine naisare ikawa tukiwa juu sioni chini, tukiwa chini nataka tuwe juu. Saa zingine naropokwa maneno sina tena juu ya penzi lako. Saa zingine wanichosha nataka uondoke nenda zako. Saa zingine ninazama na uzito pendo lako. Saa zingine yeah.
Ah, bro. That's DIDGE.
You still get it.
Vintage DIDGE,
Yes,
of course.
Yes.
I think it was a pleasure having you, hosting you, my brother. And we hope that you get back on radio and do what you do best.
You know what we're doing.
We know what
we're going to spice it up.
We're going to spice it up.
We're going to spice it up.
Completely.
Yeah, but thank you so much for having me on this platform. I was nervous initially.
Yeah.
But something told me, I said a small prayer.
Yeah.
And I asked my son, do you want to see Daddy on TV? It's like, yes. That was it. You know that a young guy has made me stop drinking coffee.
Completely.
I made Daddy stop drinking coffee. It smells bad. I was like, what? And I love coffee. So I was like, yeah, but not when you're with me.
Yes.
That guy, I want him to see me in my frame. You know, when you have a son, when you have daughters,
Yes.
you don't want to let them down.
Yeah.
But when you have a kijana,
Yes.
that is a different ball game. Because that's your pride. And you want him to...
The warrior.
And unataka kufuate. Because you see the females who look like their mom, etc. But I want him to see me in my frame. So, yeah, he told me, Daddy, go. So...
And we are very happy to host you here today, of course, from Spice FM and here, the History Makers. The biggest conversation you can see.
I saw
Close the show. Close the show, bro.
I saw the background just
This
doing,
is a
hey,
history
hey,
maker.
hey, how are we going to chop this? Man, I'm so happy to be on the History Makers. Shout out to everyone who's a fan of the show, and I hope you keep making your own history. Bless.
Keep watching.